Hello guys, my name is Gavin, and this will be a video on how to create bullet holes with Python in the Blender game engine, and I'm just going to get started. To start off, what we're going to do is click on layer 2 down here where my mouse is circling, and I'm going to do spacebar and then add a surface sphere. And I'm going to hit Alt and C and convert this surface sphere to a mesh. What we are now going to do is rename this surface sphere to bullet hole, like this. And I'm going to apply, let's say, how about a red coloring to our cube, or to our sphere? So our sphere should look like this. So if I hit P, it'll look like that. Okay, I'm going to go back now into layer 1. Layer 1 like this. And what we are going to do is do spacebar and then add a cube. I'm going to drag this cube off in front, so like if we right click on our cube in the middle of the screen, the green line should be pointing at this cube. On this new cube that we just added, I'm going to hit S and X to scale it out. I'm going to hit S and Z to scale it up. I'm now going to rename this cube to wall, like this. And I'm going to click on the physics tab, and I'll actually select Blender Game really quick, and make it an actor like this. Okay, now that we got that, I'm going to right click on our cube in the middle, or the one that was initially in the middle. And I'm going to go from defaults to game logic, and what we're going to do is go from Blender render to Blender game like we already were. And on our cube in the middle, let's add an always sensor. Click those first 3 dots. Add a mouse sensor with tap selected. And let's rename this to click, like this, with left button selected. And let's add a ray sensor. This ray sensor will have ray on it, like this. And for the property, let's put wall. And for the range, let's put 100. Keep it on the positive y-axis too. Okay. Next, let's right-click on our wall over here and add a game property, and this game property will be wall. Now, after we've applied the wall property to our wall, right-click back on your main cube like this, add a Python controller, and connect your sensors to the Python controller. So the mouse sensor and the ray sensor should be connected there. What we're now going to do is do templates, Python, and then game logic simple, like this, and delete the portion that I've highlighted. Hit Control and scroll up on your mouse to make your text larger. I'm going to rename this to scripts.py and add this right here. Okay, now that we got that, let me define the click and the ray sensors by doing click is going to equal const.sensors click, and then ray is going to equal const.sensors ray. Once we have that, what we are going to do is import the render from the BGE. So let's do from BGE import render. And down here, what we're going to do is have if ray.positive. We're going to have render.drawLine, own.worldPosition, ray.hitPosition, and we're going to make this line red. Now, if you've never used the render.drawLine before, it essentially just makes a mini laser appear from the origin of the cube in this case, and it's going to end at the position in which the ray hits. So if we were to hit P now, we should see there is now a red line that appears from the cube to the wall. Okay, what we're now going to do is I'm going to add 2 different keyboard sensors to our what's it called, our cube, and this first one is going to be left like this, put the A key, and this other one is going to be right, and let's put the D key. I want to have it so we can rotate our cube left and right, so in order, because we're using the bullet holes right now. Let's then add 2 motion actuators, and let's have it so that our cube will rotate 2 on the not on the x-axis, the z-axis. I'm going to put 0 right here again. 0, like this. And let's have -2 for the right. So right, and then left. So we're going to connect these like this. And we should see if we hit P, we can rotate our cube like this, and that red line will track along the wall. Okay. Now what we are going to do is have if ray.positive, which we already have, and if click.positive, so if we press the left mouse button. So if click.positive, what we're going to do is actually, before we do that, let's import the scene. The scene is going to equal bge.logic.gets current scene like this. And if we press the left mouse button, we're going to have scene.addObject. Let's have bullet hole, since that's the name of our object in our other script. And even though we haven't created this object yet, we're going to put spawn points, comma, then we're going to put 15. Now, the reason why the spawn point is important is because when we're adding an object into the scene, it needs to be done at the position of an object. So what we're going to do is do spacebar and then add an empty object. This empty object will be a cube, and I'm just going to drag it back. And I'm going to rename this empty object to spawn points. Spawn point like this. Spelled that wrong, sorry. Spawn points. And inside of our script, what we're going to do is actually define the spawn points. So spawn points is going to equal scene.objects. Spawn points, like that. And if array is positive, what we're going to do is do spawn points.worldPosition is going to equal array.hitPosition. So essentially, if we were to hit the play button, wherever that red line will hit is where our spawn point is going to be. And if we click, we can see it's going to add a red object, or essentially a bullet hole, at the position of the empty object. Now, something I'd like you to notice right here is if we were to set the time of this to 100 for the bullet that we add into our scene, it's actually not going to add on top of each other. And you may be wondering why, but remember, back on the ray sensor on our player, or our main cube, it's looking for the property wall, and our bullets does not have the property wall, only the wall property does. So that's why, whenever we hit the play button, we don't have bullets that stack up on top of each other. We just have them so that they add across the wall whenever they can. Okay guys, that is how to make bullet holes with Python in the Blender game engine. I hope you guys found this useful. I will leave my script open for just one more second.